Hey guys, so welcome back to the channel. It's been just about 4 months or so. Apologies, I have not gotten any content out. Actually haven't brewed. This is the first brew since August. I brewed with Mike, 77 Trans Am guy. We did a collab on a sour, and that was the last time I brewed back in August. So today is December 4th. It's a Sunday. Been wanting to get back into it. I think I've said it on the channel before. I coach multiple sports and took on a new role this year, so took up a lot of my time this fall. All good things, but unfortunately the lack of time is causing for a little bit less in the hobby. So did get a brew started today, so that's what this is going on. We'll go through that here in a second, but had a question for you guys. Talking about process. Yeah, we're talking about process. Trying to come up with different ways to be able to break up brew days, to make things go faster, to be able to find time in the work week and then the weekends that I don't have 4, 5, 6 hours on a weekend to put a whole brew together from start to finish. What are the ways that you found that help you get the brew day in? Because I still have priorities. You have family, you have work. Obviously those things take up a ton of your time. Hobby like this is something I really enjoy doing. But unfortunately, that's going to come behind those priorities as you go through it. So are there any things, and you can leave this in the comments, anything that you found that help you go through it? So things like I've tried to get water and my water salts ready the day ahead of time. Get grains done sometime during the week and keep it into a bucket so you have it. So those types of things, what I'm looking for is how do you chunk it up where you have a half an hour, 45 minutes maybe after work, after dinner, before dinner, something like that, that you have a couple of minutes that you can do something and get things done. So I'm looking for help from the community. I want to stay in the hobby. I want to continue to do it. But unfortunately, with my commitments with work and coaching, I just don't have the time to do as much of it as I'd like to do. So I'm trying to figure out the process, and are there tricks and hints, things out there that people have done that I'm not thinking of? So what I'd like to do is actually maybe take a selection of these types of things and put it together in a video, and maybe it's helpful for other people. I gotta imagine there are other folks. I'm not the only one that's like this, that has very limited time, and it's hard to put together. When you look at an hour in the mash, an hour in the boil, the setup for it, the cleanup for it, it knocks out the better part between 4 and 6 hours depending on what you're doing. So, and how much you've been able to prep ahead of time. So, just asking questions. This community is awesome for giving hints and tricks and things like that. So, if you've got anything like that, I'd love to hear it. Maybe I'm already doing it, maybe I'm not, but it would be great to kind of put a selection of these types of things together, and maybe it's helpful for other folks. So it's something I've been struggling with and trying to find time to do this with. So enough of that. Getting on to what this is. This is my first attempt at a Phantasm beer. So if you haven't heard about Phantasm, it is the Sauvignon Blanc grape skins that have been dried and then ground up into a powder. If you're ready to the stuff from Scott Janish, Omega Yeast is involved with it, with some of their thiol releasing yeast. Scott Janish has done some work with them. If I think about it, I will post or put a link to a paper. Read a paper on it. It was really, really cool. A bunch of guys in the Brew Tubers have all jumped in and done this. Unfortunately, I was still coaching at that point. I couldn't get part of the collab, but I wanted to give it a try. So I picked up a pound of the stuff. So this is my first attempt at it. I give it a try and see what happens with it. Just some basics on what the beer is. It's going to be a NEPA. I'm not calling it anything special. It's just my Phantasm trial one. So see what works, what doesn't. A couple of things that I'm doing that I've read in the paper. Mash hopping. You'll see that here in a minute. So it's 2 ounces of Cascade in the mash. That's what this is here. I'm using Cosmic Punch from Omega. I built that up. My local homebrew shop had a packet of it, but it was expired, so I've done a 2-time starter with that, and it took right off. It's much faster than I thought it was going to be. So, and then I'm using some of the hops we've gotten from a couple of the hop experiments back. I'm using Nelson Sauvin and Motueka. So I'm going to give it a try and see. Figured most of those, or both of those, are from New Zealand. So the Sauvignon grape, the powder is from there as well. So see if that works out. Not really positive on the hops that go through it. They do talk about the locked thiols in mash hopping being a big deal. So just the basics on it. So we're shooting for a 7-ish, 7.5 ABV. It's a 1077 OG Supposed to finish up somewhere in that 1018 to 1020 range. We've got 55, and I'll do the grain bill when I do that. But 55% Golden Promise, 19% oats, 18% Pilsner, and 7% Viking wheat. And then Cascade, this is that 2 ounces of Cascade in the mash. We're doing a half ounce of Nelson Sauvin at 30, the 5 ounces of Phantasm in a hop stand. So we're going at 165. They talk about 180, but I've been doing my hop stands at 165, so I'm going to put them all together. So 2 ounces of both Motueka and Nelson Sauvin and the Phantasm. I'm going to do that for 10 minutes in the Whirlpool hop stand, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to dry hop with 1 ounce of Motueka and Nelson Sauvin. So they do talk about dry hopping and vegetal matter, pulling some of the thiols out in that paper. And also oxygen being very sensitive. So this is an oxygen sensitive beer. So I'm going to do it in a keg. I'm going to ferment in the keg, and that way I can then purge. When I dry hop, I can push CO2 in when I open it and try to do the best I can about keeping oxygen out. Beyond that, I think that's pretty much it. Pretty much standard beyond that, but those are the big things. So we'll kind of take you through the brew day, see how things are going with it. Definitely does feel weird being back brewing after, was it, better part of 3.5, 4 months. You got to think through that process of what am I supposed to do next. When you do this on a consistent basis, you feel like you know what you're doing most of the time. So, all right, well, I will quit rambling and get this thing going. I don't want it to be too much of a long video. The other thing I've updated, I will show some video of it, but in here is a sparge arm. So I'll show you some video of that, putting that together. So I got that from Chris at 21 Left Brewing. He's part of the Brew Tubers Club. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it. It was something he bought that didn't work for him and sold it back in the club. So, and then I'm going to try some new software. Filmora, I believe is the name of it. Nick, one of our vice presidents in the club, is a big fan of it. I think Dave at Big Dog Brewing has also jumped onto it. So I'm going to try to upgrade my technique here a little bit and try to up my video game a little bit. So we'll see how it goes, but we'll take you through the brew day, and then we'll catch you towards the end. All right, guys, let's launch it.
All right, so one of the updates I have today is to put this new sparge on. So when I originally built this, I was looking to try to kind of figure out how Clawhammer does theirs. So it goes on top of this. I've got my screen in there. This goes on top of that. And this is basically a sprayer that you'd use on like a pressure washer or something like that. So could never find anything that I really liked, like Clawhammer has. And the other day, Chris at 21 Left Brewing, put this out on Brew Tubers on our Discord channel, and he bought it. It was the wrong size for him. So I bought it off of him. This is going to fix what I want. So it's going to basically go like this. I'll take this guy off, and then I've got my cam lock on the top. So that's one of the big updates I want to do today, and then we're going to get into brewing here in a second and get some things cleaned up and get some stuff done. All right, so got it attached. Cam lock's back on the top. Fits great. Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to see how the work comes out of that when I recirculate. So we'll get everything cleaned up here and get the brew day started, and we'll check this out and see how it goes.
Alright, got the grains getting crushed. This is the second crush. I run it through twice since I run on the screen.
Alright, so there is the grain all ground up. Got my flaked oats in there as well. So that's 2 times through the mill. I find that gives me a really good crush. And with the screen, I can go pretty fine, so I get better efficiency. So this is, I'll give you the grain bill and percentages so you'll know. This is Golden Promise at 55%, flaked oats at 19%, Viking Pilsner at 18%, and Viking wheat at 7%. That is the total for a total of 13 pounds, 9 ounces for a total of grains. So I'll give you more of the specifics here in just a few minutes as we get going. So this is my water additions. One of the things I've always wondered is how well does the stuff actually mix up and dissolve? So Matt at Rec Brewing does this, and I stole the idea, so thanks, Matt. Get some hot water out of your strike water as you're heating up, and then put your chemicals in there, your additives. So this is Epsom salt, calcium chloride, gypsum, and a cabinet tablet to get rid of the chlorine. So all mixed up, give it, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so to dissolve, and it's in pretty good shape. So I'll throw this into the circulation before I mash in, and then we'll be back in just a second. Hopefully you're mashing in, and we're going to check out that new sparge arm, see how it goes. All right, so we are underletting. I'm not sure if you can see water coming up the side there, but we're underletting right now. So this is what the sparge arm looks like underneath there. So we will run it when we recirculate back through here. So right now we're just underletting from the bottom. So I've just got that other hose hanging. That'll come out from here down into the bottom. That's my strike water running through my pump back up. 160 was my target strike. 152 is what we're looking to mash in at. It's 55 degrees out here right now. So going to be, you know, we'll drop a little bit. So all right, once we get this water, the strike water in here, and we start mixing, I'll grab another here quick second. All right, well, here's a first for me. I'm gonna try mash hopping. So this is 2 ounces of Cascade. Thanks to Yakima, one of the club sponsors. And give it a shot and see how it turns out. All right, so we made it to the boil. We got a ½ ounce of the Nelson Sauvin in there. So we're 15 minutes in. It's a 30-minute boil. So we're halfway through. We'll get the chiller in here and get that sanitized, get the chiller water going, get that set to go with my Whirlpool arm in, and get things ready to roll for the next segment. So this is the Phantasm. It's the thiol powder. Give you an idea what it looks like. So I got 5 ounces of this going into the Whirlpool here with the 2 ounces of Motueka and Nelson Sauvin, 2 each of those. So see if we can get you a hop drop here in just a second. All right, we just chilled, and I use my chiller with pool water, and it's December right now, so it's down in the high 30s, low 40s. So it chilled fast down to 165. So we're holding at 165. So this is 2 ounces of Nelson Sauvin and 2 ounces of Motueka. Get them in. And this is what, 5 ounces of the Phantasm. Looks like it's a lot. So get the hot drop with that. Try not to get it into the beer as much as possible. A lot of stuff. All right, so this is the starter. Got it all set. This is actually 2. I did 2 starters. Again, this yeast, this is Cosmic Punch by Omega. This was expired. It was an August manufacture, so decided to grow it up twice. And then I also, because I ferment in kegs, I use the defoamer. So I will put this in and then put my wort in on top of it. I try to keep it, somewhere around that 4 1/4, 4 1/2, and then the defoamer has a tendency to keep that down. And then I also ferment under pressure. I'll probably keep it right around 10 or 12 pounds, somewhere in that range, and that has a tendency to keep the krausen down. So should be okay, and then we'll give it that time, and then we'll see what happens. So hopefully next time I see you, I will have a tasting video. And again, if anybody has any thoughts, ideas on how to make brew days quicker, easier, how to break them up, how to get things done, organize them better, please let me know. And looking for any ideas anybody has. So appreciate it, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody has a great holiday season. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And I will see you back soon. Sláinte.